Hey everybody, welcome to game number 3 in this best of 5 bronze championship series between Twodback and ichbineinkonto. I'm Philothenic, joined today by Morgan. Twodback took both games in the series so far, so wins this game, wins it all. Morgan, what do you think about this map?
I'm thinking there's only one high aluminium. It's a bit awkward. It's a single low carbon tile. And silicon looks a bit odd. Both silicon and aluminium and water are starting high, so...
No nukes though, so that's a relief for the odd. There's only one carbon, so I do not think we will see a scavenger this game, although I've been wrong before in this series about scavengers.
I don't think we'll see one.
A robotics HQ has been found.
Expansive and robotic in the alloy, well, that's a brave move. Considering that there's a medium aluminium, which Twodback decides he's going to take, along with single steel mill and a high iron. I don't like that starting, but in that position, iron so far.
For Konto, that is.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he did found second, so he will get the black market first and get the second claim. The problem is, what else is by this aluminum? Nothing really. I mean,
Got geotherm, but
the water's far away, the silicon's far away.
Far away, and
I mean, you're next to this one carbon, but that's about it.
really want to waste a claim on that, though.
No.
I don't know. It's going to be a little slow for both of these players to get HQ level 2, but...
Konto did use his first black market cooldown to pick up a claim, I believe. Let's double check and make sure. Yes, 3K claim. Twodback decides to upgrade HQ2 instead of going on the offense against Konto.
I think it's a good move. I don't think he was going to get anything off the market there. I mean, Konto, I think, was quite lucky to get away with buying a claim and still being able to upgrade at such speed. It was because of his aluminium play, but I do worry that he's swapped a short-term gain for a long-term disadvantage. We'll see how it pans out, though. Both of these players take in high waters.
High water, and Konto picking up the low carbon. I'm assuming he's thinking about moving into some wind turbines, as all these steel mills being online is starting to drive the power price up.
I think he's going to have to move into some turbines because Twodback stole his geotherm, which is a good move on Twodback's part. Take that away from your opponent. No superconductor power bonus. Power very much spiking in price, up to $110.
Is spiking, and Konto is going to try to be a first mover, although Twodback's Geo is flying out right now. So Konto will have a slight advantage, assuming he can keep his power online. He does have the black market cooldown, and Twodback is 15 seconds away from his own, so Konto could defend. Should be able to defend one of these two turbines if he wants. They're both very strong, or blow up Twodback's Geo, which is also a decent option. And that was a misclick by Twodback.
Yeah, undoubtedly. That was in the middle of nowhere.
It was in the middle of nowhere. All it did was hurt Twodback's own power, so a nice boon for Konto. Twodback definitely recognizes it.
Whoa! I can't believe he let that geotherm go for 7k.
And, well, too busy typing a stick-out tongue face to put the claim there.
I'm guessing he clicked, but he was in the chat menu. I've done that.
Yeah, if you hit the B when you're forbidden in the chat menu, it won't go through.
That's okay, though. I think I'd sacrifice a missed EMP for a cheap geotherm like that, especially the price of power climbing so high. Let's see, where is the geotherm? It's down south. It's already been built up.
It's been built up. Twodback, both his geotherms still undefended. does have a cooldown coming up in 4 seconds. Kanto's cooldown is up. He's going to want to use that on something, I'd have to imagine. His power looks like it's going to be important this game. Twodback using a goon squad on its further geothermal plant, which does make sense. This means Kanto has a 50-50 shot if he was going to go on the offense, but
no, Kanto took a claim.
Yeah, he took a claim instead. He is finally earning power money.
I prefer to see him get offensive, to be honest with you. Claims can come later, I'm thinking.
Yeah, because the thing is, he's earning power money, so he wants to keep the power price up as high as possible, as long as possible, and 2 geotherms from Twodback going to very quickly crash that power price, especially with a 3rd very strong wind turbine. Not going to make much money from that power play at all.
Well, he's paid off his debt, so that's the important thing.
Paid off his debt. He is behind in the upgrades, which is not something you want to see as a robot up against an expansive.
Exactly. The expansive should be a little bit behind the robot. The robot should be racing ahead, but problem, isn't it?
Part of that
crash out steel.
Yeah, he moved out of steel, moving to go into farms, moving back into steel.
Yeah, I don't mind that move so much. I mean, food is where the profit is at the moment.
And the EMP falls down, correctly targeted on Twodback's farms by Kanto. A immediate counter EMP. It hits Twodback's Geo, but power's at 20, so what does he care?
Well, the only thing that's going to tell is that Kanto Twodback hasn't got his geotherm gooned. So with dynamites, be irritating if he wanted. Blow it up.
Could be irritating, although with steel at 21 and aluminum at 8, might be a waste of a black market cooldown at this point.
It's an irritation, I think, at best. Core sample, though, not exactly sure what he's going to use it for. Not seeing an obvious use of sample at the moment.
No, there's only volcanic or cracks nearby. I've yet to see any water. Well, I saw a lake bed somewhere. Where did I just click on it? There is a little bit of a lake bed to the southeast of his wind turbines, that little triangle. So I don't know if Kanto noticed that, or is looking for it now to use the core sample, but he does already have this one water, which is shipping quite a distance, but power's $1 and not falling anytime soon, so he doesn't really care.
Exactly. I mean, Kanto's got 3 wind turbines in a triangle, so even if he has to ship across the map, it's not a problem for him.
The black market is
and can't see power ever coming down, not with the amount of Twodback has.
No, not with 2 geos online.
There just seem to be some players, perhaps myself included, that just can't pass up an auction.
More EMPs.
Farms, but Twodback's got so many farms, it's not going to make it to him.
No, but Kanto, by keeping at least some of those farms offline, Kanto is in, for the first time in the series, a cash advantage over Twodback.
I think he nearly an upgrade there, I think. Saw it flash. There it is.
Yes, there it is. Buys into some food, sells out of it, takes the upgrade. HQ4. What are we going to see from Kanto? Twodback still needs another 5k in glass for the upgrade. Gonna have to wait for these farms to start working before doing anything. Kanto's moving into a lot of steel mills.
And he's got one lonely little electronics factory there, triangular steel. I'm not sure, is he going for some kind of adjacency bonus or something?
I mean, the electronics factory does not get any adjacency bonus from the steel mill. Instead, he's rotating out.
Hopefully, into 3 lovely little electronics factories. Back, decided the food's no good, back into aluminium. I kind of think that the food would have been more profitable.
Food price is dying quite rapidly, and that aluminum does make $50 by itself, which is more than, excuse me, the farms.
You're right. It's double. Poor old Toe has got a problem. No, if he needs to move into a.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit there.
I'm just saying, Konto's a little bit short of iron. I'm surprised he hasn't moved into a second iron tile, but I can see why he hasn't.
Well, he's got even on the iron. He's bringing 2 in from his mine, using 2 from the steel mill. Konto, this game continuing to be offensive with his black market usage. I definitely like to see that compared to the other games. Previous games of the Twodback is HQ4, moving into electronics. Might want to wait to use that black market until your opponent has put down those buildings, because the slowdown strike did happen right after Twodback moved. But if your black market cooldown is up and ready like that, I guess it doesn't really matter.
No. I'd like to see Konto buying into some carbon, get all his spare money into carbon, just make those electronics factories a little bit less profitable, raise perhaps the price of carbon.
That would be a good move. Instead, Konto moving into a currently unused, undefended patent lab with chems at 142.
That's an odd move.
Wonder what patent he's going to prioritize.
Especially having an undefended market patent lab there at the colony is just screaming use black market against, especially with spies.
Yeah.
Too bad you get a spy down on that patent lab, see exactly what's going on. He'll see it's undefended. Bang goes the dynamite.
Dynamite's still 3.5k. Instead of using the patent lab, Konto's going to upgrade to HQ5, keeping pace with the expansive as you'd like to be. And then Twodback also moving into the patent lab, this time hologrammed.
And gooned.
And gooned. Also not sure what patent he's going to prioritize at this point in the game. Konto moving into teleportation, which, considering his shipping costs of $2 empowered, makes no sense to me.
No, he has used his core sample at last. He's got some carbon, which he immediately takes, which will be nice for him because he is running a deficit at the moment. Only 0.5 deficit compared to 1.5 deficit before.
Yeah, these EMPs are good, but you could shut down those electronics factories completely just by buying into carbon, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and the way Twodback's arranged his claims, he is a little bit vulnerable there to these EMPs. Fortunately for him, EMPs are getting expensive, so...
Twodback moving into carbon scrubbing, which, considering he has access to no carbon whatsoever, and it is an electronics colony, does make sense. I should have recognized that's what his plan was earlier.
Wow. Did Konto pick this iron metal mine right down south? Was that an auction?
It was an auction for 12k.
I'm distracted. I missed that.
I mean, Konto was in double or triple A at the time, only has 46. Now just a smidgen more, 49 after the interest tick came down in debt, so nothing to worry about there.
It's a good pickup for him, definitely.
He just needs to figure out some markets or some way to get a increase his cash advantage over Twodback. It looks like
it's going to be difficult to see how he's cleaned it up. I mean, offshore markets are not looking massively appealing at this point.
That pleasure dome was a good idea, unfortunately immediately blown up by Twodback. Twodback does pick up carbon scrubbing, which is something he desperately needed now. Electronic
Definitely.
factories are making 123 a second. And
Yeah, he
Twodback
needed to.
has the upgrade whenever he likes. Teleportation does come for Kanto. I guess that means he can rotate out of this triangle of turbines into something else?
Possibly, but if he does that, the price of power is going to pretty much spike, and Twodback will be making a really decent amount of money with all the geotherms that he has.
Yeah,
So,
looking for these late game options, off-worlds don't look so great. 31k a launch. Let's see, Kanto, it would cost 119k to put an off-world down. Twodback with his expansive advantage, 59k. Only needs 35 if he wanted to put an off-world instead of going, which is what he's thinking about as he is researching thinking machines. 40 seconds for thinking machines. What is Kanto using his patent lab for? Slant drilling.
I think it makes far more sense for Twodback to move into off-world markets. It's a little bit too expensive for Kanto at the moment. Twodback takes his HQ5 upgrade, going to go into chemical refinery.
Which, with that carbon scrubbing, makes really good sense. Those chems should pull in a decent amount of money, 103 per each tile with the adjacency bonus.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, Twodback looks in a commanding position at the moment. Got thinking machines, got easy access to an off-world market should he wish.
Yeah, Kanto's short-term advantage is running out rather rapidly.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he's going back into a couple of farms, which is good for him. But difficult to see where he's going to make the money come Twodback's expansive advantage. Because Twodback's got far more claims than Mr. Kanto. Buying some as well. Quick look.
I question some of these patent choices from Kanto. We mentioned teleportation earlier and slant drilling. I'm not even quite sure what slant drilling gets him. I guess it turns his water from a high and a medium to double highs.
I think I've just been kicked.
About it.
Phil, I think you're on your own, my friend. I'm sorry, I've been kicked.
Well, if you've been kicked, you're the host, so...
It'll migrate, don't worry about
hopefully it does migrate. Well, it looks like it has migrated, so that's good. No interruption for our players. Continue on with the solo cast for the rest of the game. Kanto deciding to defend himself. I mean, it's tempting to see that is what you need to do at this point of the game, but I do think he needs to invest everything that he has into something to make sure, give him more money. An optimization center, decent idea, maybe a little bit late. We'll have to see. I did miss it. He has optimized both carbon, electronics, and now silicon. This patent lab isn't being used at all.
Yeah, Kanto has bought 4 claims from the black market compared to 2 for Twodback, but I mean, Twodback's still going to have the claim advantage here. Far more markets.
Right, so those 4 claims do sort of even things out a little bit. Twodback going into a off-world market in it's hologram, but it's in quite an obvious place. That's a very awkward-looking steel mill. So Kanto should probably, if he noticed, be buying one of these spies just to check out and make sure there's nothing fishy going on there, and he'll discover that there is something fishy. But that awful market does have thinking machines, which very much limits the amount of attacks that Kanto can do against it. No easy goon poppers on the market, and the only thing to attack it with are EMPs and dynamites, which thinking machines provides a defense against both.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very hard for Kanto to knock down that off-world market. I'm struggling to see any way for Kanto to compete.
28k for the Pleasure Dome auction. A bit high, but Kanto does have virtual reality. Going to be pulling a smidgen over 310 or so off of the combined Pleasure Domes. Unfortunately, Twodback is pulling 533 a second off of this one off-world, moving into a second off-world. Twodback has a cash advantage for cash on hand. Kanto has 2 more stocks purchased in himself.
He's going to be able to defend himself, but I mean, the longer the game goes, the fancy Twodback cleaning it up really easily.
Yeah, this
have a hacker array of something.
Carbon scrubbing for Twodback is definitely a critical pattern and a critical difference between both players. Twodback is making $120 from his chemical refineries, while Kanto's only making 14 or 11.9 and falling. His electronics factories are off. He has no steel online, which means no off-worlds, and he needed them yesterday just to keep up with Twodback.
Yep. Find some advantage there. Letting Twodback get those off-worlds up cheaply and to make good money.
Yeah, they're making not the best money, but they're definitely nothing to sneeze at. 34k, 31k profit per launch, and with this new the X key now working for the off-worlds, we can see they're making 579 and 522 in profit a second. Definitely by far the best out of any building on the map. Kanto, on the other hand, his best building are these pleasure domes. This one pleasure dome, 171. Oh, there's this elemental quarry, 213, but neither of those are anywhere close to the power of these off-worlds.
No, Kanto really needs to secure carbon scrubbing. If he could have got carbon as a monopoly market, then I'm pretty sure he could have done something.
Yeah, carbon scrubbing, don't go for the second core sample, hack array, start hacking up carbon. You don't care what the price of carbon is. That would have been a really nice gameplay plan for Kanto. Instead, he went for teleportation when power was only $2.
Exactly. I mean, with a triangle of power, you're not too worried when you're a robot shipping because you're using the electricity. Yeah, he needed any little advantage to have, but unfortunately, as soon as Twodback took carbon scrubbing, there's one monopoly he wouldn't be able to get.
Yeah, Twodback finally catching up in the stock battle, has more cash on hand than Kanto, and after these 2 off-worlds launch for him will be ready to go. Twodback also using his optimization center constantly. Kanto, 2 optimization centers sitting there doing nothing, 1 patent lab sitting there doing nothing. I mean, if you have those advanced buildings, you do need to build them.
You need to use them.
Well, this was a great boon for Kanto. Steel got sold down all the way down to 6, so Kanto just put up an off-world for as close to next to nothing as you could get. But
that's still 2 off-worlds versus 1.
And the second one is going to cost your standard 120k for Kanto. And Twodback's off-worlds have been online for a lot longer.
And of course he has thinker machines, which can be the difference. If everybody's equal, thinker machines often is the difference between winning and losing. Fortunately, not so much these days. 1v1, any advantage you can get is good.
Yes. I was just going to mention that there's very little black market going on. Twodback does have Kanto's off-world spied out, does have 1 dynamite purchased, but Kanto's off-world is gooned, and popping that goon means an EMP or dynamite right back at you, so I can understand why Twodback's just going to sit back and say, I have 2 off-worlds, they're both goon, they're both thinking machines, I'll let Kanto make the first black market move.
Exactly. I think Twodback is, like you say, he's quite happy to sit there, use his advantage, and just play it out. The longer it runs, or to excellent position. It's nearly 100k advantage, equal stocks, but pay in the bank. Well, actually, Kanto seems to be making more per second than Twodback.
He might be, I'm not sure where that money is coming from.
Well, that's until, of course, the offward launches. Once they launch, we should see a massive up spike in Twodback's money, and he is still 110k ahead.
Yep.
Can maintain that advantage, then
Twodback should maintain that advantage, should, with 2 off-worlds, keep that advantage, and it should be. The series appears to be all over but the fat lady singing.
yeah, I have a feeling it's a matter of time. Not going to be too much longer. $266, $1,000 for Twodback, 80 for Kanto.
Yeah,
It's
this
just
patent lab's still not being used for anything, still hasn't been rotated out.
what can you do? Rotate it out into a pleasure dome, really, would be the only thing you put there.
Still be better than the patent lab sitting there by itself.
It would. I mean,
Wouldn't change the outcome of the game, but it'd still be strictly better. The unused optimization center finally gets rotated out for a greenhouse farm. But these next launches for Twodback should seal the deal, I think.
it's going to be quite close, isn't it? Not going to be too much longer.
No.
Non-wheel prices are pretty dead. Us is about the only decent market, an O2, but you don't make enough O2 really to make. O2, of course, is the launch, so
Successful off-world shipment.
highest
Profits.
launching chemicals. Back it up. Yep.
A little bit of a misplay by Twodback launching O2 instead of all chemicals or chemicals and fuel, but it shouldn't matter. Twodback does decide that Kanto's off-world is a bit worrying, blows it up, pops the goon. Kanto asked 2 or 1 off-worlds, wasn't quite certain. Yeah, that's
Decent
been an
launch there,
advantage
isn't it?
for a while. Twodback will take the series any minute now, just waiting for some of these off-worlds. This one last off-world to finish launching, and will be our Casuals Bronze Champion, finishing this series 3-0.
That's a very good series there, Twodback. Really good player. He really proved himself in 1v1. Nice moves from him. Nice steady play. Which I like.
Yeah, I think Kanto, with his robot found, is definitely a high risk, high reward sort of found. He did struggle a little bit with the upgrades, but then did start getting that pace which you wanted for the robots, but then just wasn't able to corner any of the markets. We mentioned the possible carbon monopoly that he could have gone for, but that didn't turn out to be anything. Kanto, early on in the game, lots of black market usage on the expansive, keeping Twodback slowed down, which is something you definitely like to see. So definitely an improvement on Kanto from this series, so which is a good thing, at least if you're not going to win any games. Always good to be playing better that third game rather than the first, so at least there's something positive to take away.
Yeah, definitely the third game was the best game for Kanto. Those scavengers to start with were questionable, I think. But yeah, both good players. They both definitely earned their spots here in the bronze match. And just on the day, Twodback was just slightly ahead.
Yeah, slightly ahead, making a few more conventional decisions than Kanto, and those conventional decisions turned out to be the right ones.
Indeed, they did. Nice, easy run on that third game. Bigger machines, couple of off-worlds, cruise to victory.
Yeah, one unnoticed off-world too. Always helps when the opponent thinks they might be caught up in off-worlds.
Well, spies are $10,000.
For 10,000.
There is no excuse.
Yeah.
No excuse not to have every single tile spied out. Especially if you know your opponent's got thinking machines, then it's pretty obvious he's going to have his off-worlds next to the base.
Mhm.
Which, a couple of spies there, you're soon going to find that second off-world.
Yeah, he had 2 spies down, just didn't spy out that last triangle where that last off-world would have been hidden.
I mean, there were no goon poppers, so...
Yeah, there really wasn't much to do with the black market, but that would have just told Kanto how far behind he was.
Yeah, it certainly would have.
Really just unfortunately some mid-game missteps from Kanto, otherwise we could be heading it off in the game number 4.
You're right there, yeah. Certainly winnable. But there's expansive advantages there, proving a little bit too much for the robot.